Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Shardcast. I will be your host, Aaron Froats, as we continue to bring you coverage of the second Hex Streamers tournament, brought to you by Hex TCG Pro and Hexcasters. We'll be continuing to cover the North America West pool as we move into Day 5. Our first matchup today will be Funktion versus Muuko. Funktion will continue to try to roll over the competition with his Blood Diamond deck as we see our first look at Muuko, who's playing a Wild Ruby deck, more or less an aggro deck. As the contestants get in place to begin, we'll go ahead and see if we can't get to the coin flip. And there you go. Looks like the coin flip was won by Muuko. As we look at the point of view from Funktion, Funktion starts off with a handful of blood. 2 blood shards, a shard of fate, 2 extinctions, a life siphon, and a corrupt harvester. Muuko won the flip, so he'll look at his hand first and kept his hand to 7. Funktion wishes his opponent good luck. And we'll see if he decides to keep his hand. I would imagine he will. Especially with the 2 extinctions in hand. He does. So Muuko will start our action off on turn 1. Playing Poke the Conflagrator means probably a Ruby aggro deck. And he drops a Wild Shard and Gastro on turn 1. This is going to be a serious aggro deck. Gastro is a 1/1 troop with Crush, and every time a Ruby card is played, it gets a permanent +1/+1. So with Poke the Conflagrator, you know it's got a fistful of Ruby cards. Funktion on his first turn will go dig for a Ruby Shard. It looks like he went ahead and main decked the Zentos Inquisitor with the Ruby Gem, as we saw in the first game on day 1. Starting game 2 on day 1. He's left without any resources, but got the Ruby Threshold out there. Muuko's second turn. Plays a Ruby Shard. Plays Savage Raider, which is 2/1 that must attack each turn if able. That will pump the gas roll up to 2/2. And he plays Unmerciful Tormentor, which is a 1/1, also 1 drop. And Unmerciful Tormentor gets a +3/+3 if you have no cards in hand. So both those cards are Ruby cards and will pump up the gas troll. So Muuko is going to put on 3 damage here on turn 2 on the Funktion. And looking at Funktion with 4/4 drops and Life Siphon, he's going to need to go in a hurry or else Muuko is going to put some hurt on quickly. Muuko deals the 3 damage and passes turn, representing 6 damage on board. So Function's on a 3-turn clock without any answers. And we move to Function's second turn. Funktion draws another Shards of Fate. We have to imagine he's going to drop one of those diamond shards, though. He's got to start getting buffed up here for Extinction or his Life Siphon here. So I would imagine one of those blood shards. I guess he's giving some thought here. Funktion trying to decide whether he wants to drop the blood shard or go to Shards of Fate. The only reason we need to go Shards of Fate now would be to pull a Diamond Threshold. But he has no diamond cards in hand and facing 6 damage on board right now. Not counting any sort of other buffs going to the gas troll. And Funktion will go get a diamond shard. Interesting play here. That gives him 1 resource. All of his cards in hand are dual blood threshold, which means it's going to take him at least 2 more turns to get there. That may be too slow for the pace that Muuko set already. Muuko again with a Unmerciful Tormentor on board, but he has 4 cards in hand, so it's still a 1/1. Savage Raider and Gas Troll. Muuko drops a Ruby Shard and another Unmerciful Tormentor. So Gas Troll will buff up to 4/4. And Muuko will also drop a Pack Raptor. That's a 1/1 1-drop green wild card with Swift Strike. But also gets a +1/+1 counter on it for each additional Pack Raptor on the field. Muuko will swing for 7. Funktion goes down to 10. We're looking at 1, 2, 3, 5, 9 on board, so any ruby card played would end Function's game next turn because he has no answer right now unless he gets a blocker. That might be the best thing for him. Living Totem will at least give him a blocker out there. But keep in mind, Gastral has Crush. So even block for 2, we're looking at 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage. Muuko, if he drops another shard here, can put his Blaze Elemental out there and basically end the game. The Blaze Elemental will be a 3-1. So if Muuko drops a shard, we're looking at a turn 4 win. There's a shard. Here comes the Blaze Elemental. That's the game. No matter which way you dice this up, Function will be receiving 10 damage. So extremely fast play by Muuko, and you have to think that was an ideal draw for him to start the game. He will swing everybody. 7, 8, 9, 12 damage faced. Function only blocked 2 of it with Crush, so 10 will still go through. Function has 1 resource back, but can't play anything to counter this, so that's going to be game. This is a quick game. First strike damage from the Pack Raptor takes Function down to 9. And Muuko, just to make sure everything will get through, plays Ruby Aura, which will empty his hand. Ruby Aura gave the Pack Raptor, the Unmerciful Tormentor +1/+0 in first strike. And because he's out of cards now, the Unmerciful Tormentor, both of them get +3/+3. So he's dealing over damage here, and that will end the first match. So that was a extremely quick match. Muuko takes it without getting any damage against his champion. And that's a turn 4 win, easily the fastest victory we've seen thus far in this tournament, at least that Shardcast has brought to you. As we will move to show you a little bit more about the Gastral here as we look in on Function doing some sideboarding. Gastral again is a 1/1 troop for 1 resource, it having to be a wild threshold. It has Crush, and when you play a Ruby card, it gets a permanent +1/+1, so a huge aggro when Muuko was able to drop the Unmerciful Tormentor and the Savage Raider, because those are both 1-drops, so turn 2, Gastral was already a 3/3. So it's hard. I'd be hard-pressed to believe if Function's going to be able to speed up his deck enough to slow down Muuko. So we'll see how he responds in game 2. You have to hope that Function will get a better draw to start the game. As we move to the coin flip for game 2. Function did win the coin flip. We got there just after it finished, so apologize for that. Function won the flip. Looking at his hand, he's got 2 diamond shards, a Shard of Fate, Murder, a Zentos Inquisitor, Spiritcliff Cloud Knight, and Ozawa the Cosmic Elder. So this might be an okay keep, just so you can get the Cloud Knight out on turn 3. But he's kind of handcuffed there. We'll see how it plays out. He is going to go ahead and keep his hand, it looks like. Muuko, looking at his hand of 7. He will keep as well as we move to turn 1 of game 2. If you're just joining us, Muuko took game 1 in 4 turns. An extremely fast aggro deck and had an ideal starting hand. Function plays a diamond shard and will pass turn over to Muuko. We'll see if Muuko lands the Gastral again on turn 1. Muuko draws his card for turn. And I guess he's contemplating which way he wants to come out. Here comes a wild shard, and he plays Howling Brave this time. Howling Brave again is a 1/1 troop for 1. That when it comes into play, you get an additional wild threshold, which is why you see Muuko with 2 threshold already in the wild department on turn 1. You can exhaust Howling Brave for a temporary resource, so it is a ramp card. Function, I would imagine, is going to drop the other diamond shard or go pick up a blood shard here. He does. That second Shard of Fate he drew on this turn will give him the second blood threshold he'll need in order to get the Murder out or the Zentos Inquisitor. If he draws a blood shard, however, he can get his second blood shard that way and use the Shards of Fate for his Ruby completing his Zentos Inquisitor, gaining effect from the gem. So we'll move to Muuko's second turn, draws a card, exhausts the Howling Brave for temporary resource, drops a Ruby Shard, and here comes the Gas Troll again. You have to think he's going to drop a couple more creatures. Pack Raptor. That's a wild creature, though. Won't buff the Gas Troll. Here comes Savage Raider. That will pump the Gas Troll. Muuko, again, 4 troops on board on turn 2. Some serious aggro. And Function's got to have some responses this time around. It will be another quick finish. Function trying to preserve that top spot in the undefeated here in the tournament. Muuko trying to solidify a top 3 spot to move on to the bracket rounds. Function draws a Ruby Shard that's almost that almost slows him down. Because now he's going to have to use the Shards of Fate for his other Blood Threshold. He can't play the Zentos Inquisitor and get the gem effect because he'd have to wait another turn for it. He might very well go Diamond. Yeah, Diamond, get the Cloud Knight out there just to block. I don't disagree with that play, but that does slow him down with his removal for the Murder and for the Zentos Inquisitor. Muuko has no response for it because he's out of resources. But you have to think he's susceptible to burn with only having 2 defense on the Cloud Knight. Burn wood is a Ruby card, so it would actually buff up the Gas Troll. So Function will land the Cloud Knight. And pass turn here. Muuko will open up his third turn. And he could, if he burns the Cloud Knight, that would have him the ability to go 1, 3, 4, swing for 6 on turn 3. So Function does now pass turn. Muuko will open up turn 3 on his end by drawing a card. And lands a Ruby Shard, giving him 3 resources, 2 threshold of each. And Ragefire, that works just as well as a burn. Ragefire will do 2 damage to target troop or champion. So he goes and takes Cloud Knight off the board. That will trigger the Gas Troll effect, making him a 3/3. Ragefire does have escalation, so it will shuffle back into Muuko's deck and deal 4 damage next time out. So we'll look at Muuko to swing 7 here. When he moves to his attack phase, he does have 1 resource back, so we may be able to see another Ruby Aura, which would deal 1 more damage in. I'm guessing Muuko will want to capitalize on this damage. Oh, there's a Wild Growth. That will work too. +3/+3 until end of turn. Wild Growth shuffles back in the deck and becomes a 0-cost card. So we are now swinging 10 on turn 3, and that will have Function's life total down to 10. That +3/+3 was only temporary. However, with another shard drop next turn, Muuko would swing 10 again, which would end the game. So Function definitely needs to be able to drop Murder next turn or a blocker, or this game will be over quite quickly as well. Muuko will take the match. Function draws another Ozawa, not an ideal card, because now, yeah, Function can go get a Blood Threshold, allows the Murder to be able to play. They play the Zentos Inquisitor, but it won't have the Ruby gem to deal the damage that's come into play, so we'll probably hold serve this turn and murder one of the cards coming next attack phase, which you have to guess would be the Gas Troll. But things are not looking great for Function. His undefeated mark may be tarnished after this match. Muuko putting some serious aggression on the table here. Drops another Wild Shard, lights up the champion power, and here comes the Blaze Elemental, a 3/1 with speed that gets sacrificed at the end of turn. So we're looking at 4, 5, 7, 10 damage. This is lethal damage swinging at Function. Function will be able to stave off one of the attackers, more likely the Gas Troll with his Murder. He's going to have to in order to survive this turn. No blocker to declare. Function will go ahead and target the Gas Troll with the Murder. Therefore, he'll only take 7 damage. So here comes the first strike damage from the Pack Raptor, taking him down to 9. The remaining 6 taking him down to 3. And Function's turns are numbered here. Blaze Elemental at the end of the turn will go Sacrifice. Muuko still representing 4 damage on board, which is still lethal damage if Function can't get a blocker out there. He'll be able to land the Inquisitor next turn, though, when he plays the Ruby Shard. That will definitely take one of the other attackers off the board. He has to hope it's the Savage Raider. Here comes as he draws a Diamond Shard, here comes the Ruby one instead. Zentos Inquisitor, which will bring Function down to 3 cards in hand. Just 2 Cosmic Elders and a Diamond Shard. Here comes the Inquisitor. Let's see which random target troop gets the 3 damage from the attack power of the Inquisitor. It is the Savage Raider. The Muuko now has a Howling Brave and a Pack Raptor. And Function has a Zentos Inquisitor, so he may try to stabilize the board a little bit. Without a Life Siphon, this could be a too little too late situation. Function, second main phase, will pass it over. Muuko, entering his 5th turn, will draw a card. Verdant Wildboar. That is a 2-drop 4/4 with speed. And at the end of turn, it gets shuffled back into your deck. Gets +4/+4 permanently, but loses the speed, so it becomes an 8/8. So Zentos Inquisitor has no choice but to block that one. Luckily, it doesn't have Crush. So he'll only be dealt 2 damage, and any burn spell will end the game. Here comes Pack Raptor's first strike damage. Bring Function down to 2, and there's the burn. Game over. 5 turns this time. Muuko dispatches a Function in 2 games in 9 turns. If you want the definition of aggression, people, an aggro deck, you've seen it. Muuko has put it together. Muuko takes this match 2 games to 1. As we finish here with some closing remarks, it looks like Muuko should move into the top 3, no doubt, with that win there. So kudos to Muuko there. Function gains his first loss, bringing him to a virtual tie with Hacky. However, with the win over Hacky, that would still remain him in first place. So Function is still with a hold on first place there. We'll go ahead and do a quick look at the Unmerciful Tormentor. As we take a look at Function screen real quick, he's still talking to Muuko about that game there. Unmerciful Tormentor gains a 1/1 for 1. And if you have no cards in hand, it gets +3/+3, making it a 4/4. So we saw that featured in Game 1, 2 copies of it. So congratulations again to Muuko. As we will bring you one more match from Day 5. It will be a matchup between Errantsquire and Muuko. That will be the last match of the pool round. So sorry about that, a little bit of audio difficulty there. We will bring you Errantsquire and Muuko. That will be the last game of the pool round. Errantsquire looking to, that will actually, should give Errantsquire a slim chance to get in. I think he might very well be pointed out at this point in time. But Muuko will be battling for position first or second with Hacky. So Muuko almost needs to win there as well. So until next time, I thank you for tuning in to Shardcast. Check out the links below this cast as we give links to the players, as well as a shout out to our tournament organizers and presenters, HexTCG Pro and Hexcasters. Be sure to follow the links to all of the YouTube pages and follow them, subscribe to them. And until next time, thank you for tuning in to Shardcast. So long. Brace yourself.